Hello and welcome to the Car, Sim and Race Driver Show. With me, Hugh Hattrick, and my very special co-host, it is Andrew Marr.
Hello. How's everybody?
Good, good. It's good to see you, Andrew. Very good to see you. So we thought this would be a kind of F1 countdown, as it's only 2 weeks to go till the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. Are you excited about all that?
I am. I'm gagging at the bit. Is that the phrase? Do you gag it a bit? Whatever. I want it to come, and I want it to come quickly because I think I've had enough of waiting now. I want to see some racing, and even if there's going to be no crowds, I want to see some racing. The cars, and they go brum brum, and they go around the track. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I think Vettel might do quite well. I think it's going to be it's going to be all go for it because they're all trying to show their teams that they're still worth their #1 status or whatever they might be. It's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty good. And I'm not too worried about crowds not being there. I think actually it will, as long as we see the racing, see everyone taking part. I think it will grow, and hopefully in time we'll be able to get the crowds back as normal. That would be good.
Well, if they've got the same directors they had for the past few years, who constantly want to stare at a crowd or somebody, they'll have to import some tumbleweed, and then they can stare at that as it goes past.
Yeah, Alex has joined us, which is great. That's really, really good. And so no, that's the thing. Well, why don't I quickly share the screen, and then we can look at the Formula One headlines and see what's happening.
Oh, you're being snazzy.
Okay. Yes. I'm using the technology. Now, I'll go on to the Formula One news so we can see exactly what's happening. So this is the F1 news. Can you see it there in front of you? Is it coming up?
I can see it. I can't read any of it, but I can see it.
Okay. So they are. I'll go on to the first one. Is this the driver who could fill Renault's F1 void? And this is from Motorsport.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, we've seen this chap drive quite a bit. It is, of course, Ganu Zhou.
Oh, Zhou. The one that looked like he was a real freaky thing, his avatar in the very first race. I remember because he won the pro race, didn't he?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
and they have this podium, electronic podium, where the guy looked like he was a zombie.
Yeah.
They really shouldn't do that. I don't care if it looks a bit like him. It just made him look like a zombie, which in the real fella, it's like, oh, a human. That wasn't a human they had on the screen. But yeah, he's done really well, hasn't he? He's I don't think so.
So they think that he could drive for Renault because I think he must, in early 2019, Zhou landed at the rebranded Virtuoso Racing outfit, which had previously operated the Russian time team, and nobody really knew what to expect from him. But then he had 2 wins and 3 pole positions to his name from his 3 seasons in FIA Formula 3 in the European Championship.
Oh, okay.
And also he had a big fight back from 10th place on from the back of the grid after a brake issue in the Bahrain feature race. And then in turn he's had F2 podiums at Barcelona, and that was only the 3rd round of the season. So people have started to raise their eyebrows to see how good he is. So perhaps he might just fill the gap.
Has he got enough super license points? Because that's the thing. It's all well and good people making up stories about whether people we've never heard of are going to go to a team, but if they haven't got super license points, they ain't going anywhere.
Well, he has joined the Renault Sport Academy prior to the 2019 season.
Okay.
And that would show that similarly the Barcelona race wasn't just a flash in the pan, with 2 more feature race podiums at Silverstone, where he claimed pole position as well, and Abu Dhabi. And he also got race podiums at Monaco and Paul Ricard on his way to 7th in the standings.
Right.
So that's not too bad. He also earned Rookie of the Year trophy, named in honour of former Renault Junior contemporary Antoine Hubert. And that's so despite not winning a race, he was comfortably ahead of his Formula F3 teammate and fellow rookie Mick Schumacher. So who took the sprint race victory at the Hungaroring. That could be quite an interesting one. And similarly, the head of Renault F1 has also been talking, Principal Cyril Abertou, who also oversees the French manufacturing program. And he was quite impressed. So
we'll have to see, because I mean,
big money from China too. Yeah, that's definitely.
That's going to be one of the things, isn't it? It's going to be the money. It's got to be good enough, but then it's going to be the money, because Renault's not competitive.
Yeah, they're struggling, and that's why Ricciardo is going to be there for the last year, and then that's it.
Yeah,
all sorted after that.
I can't see Renault turning it around this year. I mean, the rules are static anyway, aren't they? But
yeah, I know. That's
I don't know. That team used to be the Lotus team, didn't it? And it was Renault before that, and as it outperformed their budget as the Lotus team. I seem to remember when Kimi Räikkönen and
he won in Abu Dhabi.
Grosjean used to try and crash it constantly, but he was fast. I mean, he was fast until he crashed into people.
Yeah.
10, 15 seconds in every race.
Aye.
But you know, it doesn't seem to have, scaling up with better funding doesn't seem to have helped. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they still seem to struggle a wee bit, don't they?
It's like they've lost.
I think they've never had it since the engine issue. They've never had that. Since the engine's changed, the Renault V8 was a great engine. I mean, it took Red Bull to 4 world titles on the trot. But since
you say that, but it wasn't a great engine. It was okay. And I remember the last season where they were having all sorts of problems with that Renault engine. And the class act of the field was, frankly, the Mercedes engine, the Ilmor engine. The Renault engine was adequate. You know, they had a dodgy relationship with Renault. I remember bits falling off of Vettel's car several times, and it wasn't quite up there in terms of power even then, you know. So I don't think they've had a truly exceptional engine since the V10 days, when they, you know, multiple world championships with Renault and Williams and so on. I don't think it's been that good for that long, but it was adequate. It was okay. I think the fact that the Red Bull had such an incredible chassis, Adrian Newey's chassis, really made up for the lack of power. Now they haven't got a good chassis and they haven't got a good engine. So, it's just something in that team doesn't work. There's a reason why Ricciardo left, and it isn't just because they were a bit slow. He was never. He never looked like he was having fun. He never looked like he was really enjoying himself there.
I think it was quite a struggle last year to get it off to work. Now, I've got something just for Ant, because he's been asking me to look at racing and some of the best clips we can find. I have decided I've got YouTube ready. And if I can make this work, hopefully this might work for the video. And we will see a clip of, I think, one of the best bits of racing in quite a while. So let's hope we can make this work. I mean, 2 seconds here.
Okay.
And I will share the screen, but this time I will share it on
Use
YouTube.
my magical techno hands to help.
There we are. Now, hopefully, this will actually work, and we will be able to play.
You've got to make it big up in the little
corner.
Can
you see it?
No, you've got to make it full screen.
Right.
See the top corner, top left corner of the picture. Not of the whole screen, of the actual player.
Oh, I see.
Other side. That's it. Click there.
There we go.
And now, working? If you make it whole screen in the bottom right corner of that.
Oh, there we are.
There you go.
Look at that. Now, this is what you call proper racing. You've got Prost in the quicker car with Senna ahead of him. And just look at every way that Senna manages to block. Perfect blocking, really. And this is just a quick 2-minute clip. That incredible Williams V10 engine. And here they come. Taking that into the left through that bridge corner. Oh, this is bridge corner coming.
That's what I call a Verstappen.
Yeah.
You're trying to come alongside me. I am just going to turn this way.
He's taking his line, as we would say.
He's taking his line. And yours. And everyone else's.
The double right.
Oh, I don't
So you
mix
don't get
these
those.
awful cameras of those days. I'm some things about modern Formula One are a lot better.
They certainly are. And now he goes side by side, but I think he's going to struggle.
Of course he is.
Because
He's got
there he
the
goes.
shallow line. Look at that.
And then he's got, and then they come into, is it Beckett?
It's not happening. It's not happening. It's so hard to overtake. It's almost
look at that. Absolutely brilliant. It's quite a thing.
Look at all that weird stuff, the green stuff. You don't see that anymore, do you?
Yeah,
in Germany. You see it in Germany when it's raining, but you don't see it anywhere else. It's all tarmac. In fact, can you imagine what Paul Ricard would look like if it had grass?
It's certainly something.
It certainly wouldn't look like Tesco's car park anymore. So that'd be quite good.
Now, did that come out quite well?
It was okay. Yeah, no sound. Sound would have been nice, but are we not allowed to do sound?
Well, I think it was playing sound when I was watching it, but I don't know if it was playing
not
sound.
On our end. There was no sound. I could hear no sound. Just
right.
dulcet tones of your strange, weird northerly accent north of the Isles. You know what there.
I wonder why the sound didn't work. Maybe I'll need to check to see if it'll pick up the sound. But there you have it. But that was a proper race. That was a good battle. And there's plenty of those. So I thought we could do some of that every week. Now, that was obviously thanks to YouTube and that was the Formula One channel. But we are
trying to get down the inside, and he's been chopped up by it and center again. Oh my goodness.
We are allowed to help. You can use certain clips if you're doing commentary and things like that on it. So we're in effect doing proper racing, aren't we? That's what we expect from that kind of.
Well, let's see what's going to happen. I mean, it's interesting you were saying earlier about people wanting to prove they're the number one. I don't think Vettel cares about that anymore because he's leaving.
Yeah.
And Ricciardo, I think what's going to happen is they're just going to go right. Let's see what we can do. So I'm leaving, am I? And you're not going to keep me informed or give me the best stuff? Well, gloves are off.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Fingers pulled out. Let's do this. I think it's going to be a very interesting year. Very interesting year. You've got Bottas more ready than ever. Bottas 3.05 or whatever he is these days version. You've got Hamilton, who's racing for whatever the hell he races for these days and on social media. You've got Ricciardo who's just being mad. You've got Verstappen, who's now king of the world, better than everybody apparently. Ocon's going to be in a car again instead of in the back of the garage.
Yep.
Oh no, not this year. Where is he this year? Oh no, he is. He is because he replaced Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg went off in a huff. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be quite interesting. There are going to be people out there. And Nick Latifi. I was watching some silly thing on the F1.com website, which is a word association thing, which they made out was really interesting, and it wasn't. And underrated was one word they had to say something. And one guy went, Latifi. And it's like, he hasn't raced yet. He's not actually rated. Yeah. How can he be underrated if he's not being rated? It's like it's
something else.
I've never been measured in my height, so I'm under tall. What? Right,
get ready for this one. I've got
make it full screen before you click it.
Yes, I'll make it full screen. And also, I have been able to include the
there you go. Right here.
Able to include the.
So this has got to be. I'm right. So the Cavalier, Soper and Cleveland. Yes, I was just thinking Steve Soper's got to be one of these two nutters. I don't think he had much choice. He was up the inside and leaning on him.
What I mean, there's your Carina for you. Is that the Carina? Yes, I think that's the Carina, and that's your
an old Carina.
Yeah, the old one.
Drivers' Championship for BMW.
Was it Carina 2? I think it was the Carina 2.
Yeah, I think it was the Carina 2.
Oh, you're back in my era now.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. But so, what do you think of that? Let me know what you think, Ant. Was that good enough? Was that quite good fun to watch? And to all our viewers who are watching that there with us. But that's the kind of thing we need. So maybe we can do more of that. Thanks to the BTC for letting us do a bit of using that clip and give us a bit of commentary on that.
So
but
are we going to do Idiot of the Week? Go on, do an Idiot of the Week. You can pick one.
Idiot of the Week. Have you got one in mind?
Whoever it was that decided to publish a false story about Helmut Marko, Dr. Helmut Marko, the evil king of Austria or whatever he is on there. I like the fella. But he didn't say anything racist at all.
No.
But apparently he did, and they made up he did, and then a load of people, including Lewis Hamilton, had a massive go at him on Twitter and all the other things. And he rang them up and said, I didn't say anything. What the hell are you on about? And then he deleted everything, and it was all retracted.
That's right. Yeah, and they had to have contact.
We fully support Lewis Hamilton and the things he says, but I don't do whatever. I don't care in that sense. What I care about is people reporting stuff that these agencies and journalists and newspapers and blogs and whatever the hell they are just trying to get some column inches.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then, like we were discussing the other day, people don't check the facts, they just react.
Yeah.
And that's what Hamilton did. And caused a big fuss over nothing. Just puff a smile.
Yeah, no, that was it, isn't it? Well, I mean, and then Hamilton made a big reaction against Red Bull, against Hermit, the chap from Red Bull.
Helmut!
And of course, he was unaware. He was unaware anything had even been said. It was a parody Twitter account. But that just shows you what you can do when you have all that kind of thing when it goes on. And then, of course, so Helmut and then Hamilton had a chat and cleared the air. And I think that was that. But it's just getting a bit overblown, all this stuff. Hopefully, it will eventually pass through. Of course, it is an election year in America. That's why it's all happening. And it really doesn't have much to do, I think, with what Lewis says it does, to be fair. But yeah, so I think, and with most of the sports stars who are going on about it too, I just think they're completely misguided. But that's as we've already covered that on many of our previous shows.
So this brings us on to a little bit of news about Lewis Hamilton is heading or commissioning.
Yeah, he's going to have this.
Diversity in Formula One.
Yeah. I will get the screen here, and it will give us the exactly what's happening. He wants to make it obviously quite rightly better for people from different backgrounds to be able to get into Formula One, and he has started a new research and development thing. So I will get the news here. It should cover.
I have said a million times now about all of these different things that if there are people who want to get into Formula One in whatever fashion, and they're good enough, it's irrelevant what they look like or what the background is. I would love to work in Formula One, but I can't get a job there. And I haven't got any excuses. I like what Toto Wolff said, which is that Formula One is a meritocracy.
Yeah, you've got to be good enough to get it.
Exactly, you earn your place there. Regardless, you don't want a team filled with a bunch of useless engineers that can't do the job, or you end up with Renault or Williams or whatever. It's
aye. No, that's the thing.
It's like saying you've had a bad week this week. I'll tell you what, you can be in pole position and we'll give you 100 points at the end. No, it's a race. It's competition. Now, the like Binotto and what's just said his name? Toto Wolff has said, you go into schools, you get people interested in it, and you give them the tools to learn what they need to learn to get better, and you make sure there's nothing dodgy stopping them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
but if they get a no, they get a no.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, good luck to him. I think, in all fairness, if it can help to do that, then I would be, I think that's a very, very good thing. Quite happy to see lots of different people coming in from different backgrounds, but let's get them working hard and getting them through the ranks and showing how good they are. I mean, that's the key thing. It's competition. It's good for everyone. We want to make it happen and see people come in, of course, to make it a bigger battle right the way through Formula One and the whole of the motor racing sports as well. I have to say, I was hoping to see the Formula W esports, but I haven't heard any more about that. So I don't know if they're going ahead with it. I thought they were.
I thought they'd. They've cancelled the actual season, haven't they?
They've cancelled that. That will be next year before that happens.
Yeah.
They should have had the esports thing happening on a weekly basis or every few weeks or whatever. And I think it would have had huge publicity. Now would be a great time to put it on. I'm surprised they haven't done a bit more with that because it's really friendly, advertiser friendly, and all of that. And there were some great races. I mean, to be quite frank, Andrew Dixon and I watched a few of them last year. And we were really, actually, genuinely impressed. They were good races to watch. And I didn't like
very close. Yeah. Fierce fighting. I mean, those drivers really wanted to win. They weren't sitting there going, "Nah, I'll just sit back here and get my name on telly." They were winning. They were racing. It was. I watched about 3 or 4 of them.
There were some great. The tracks needed a wee bit of work, to be fair. I don't think they were always the best chosen, but they were. It was a good series, and I think that would make a very good esports series. A lot of people would watch it, and I think it would be quite fun. I mean, they had Ted Kravitz as well doing the kind of Ted's notes at the W.
Ted notes, you had DC and
that's right. Louise Goodman. Was Louise Goodman in that? Or maybe not.
She might have been. I'm trying to think. She's Scottish and she's brilliant and she's called.
I don't know. Oh, it's that one who does the motorbike. No. No, she's one that's been doing Formula One for donkey's years, and she's been in the pit lane, and she's been doing on Channel 4. She's been doing the host. Susie. No, not Susie.
Not Susie Wolf.
Another one. What's her name?
Oh my Gideon!
Our listeners and our viewers will need to come up with that. Otherwise, we'll be doing ums and ahs and wondering what they are.
What's her name? She's Scottish.
I wonder what that is.
And it's not Susie Wolf. I nearly had it then, but no.
So that's one of the things. We'll go back to the F1 news here and see what we can find. I
reckon it's going to be very difficult next year if there's going to be lots of crashes because of the restrictions on the team members being there. So things like an engine change, or if they have a crash and need to fix the car, it's going to be much more difficult, much slower. So, we're used to seeing them in about 2 hours getting everything because Grosjean smashed into something again. Renault's got really good at fixing those things, haven't they? Well, they won't have the personnel to do it. I was watching a piece with Martin Brundle where they were saying that they've got, because of the lead time they've had from the factories being open, they've got plenty of parts. But so if there is accidents, they'll have the parts, they'll be okay. But if there's lots of accidents again and again and again and again with such a small gap between each race, they're going to start struggling on parts. So the drivers are going to have to be a bit careful that they don't whack it into a wall or each other too much. Because a team, especially a team that's got less resources, they're going to really struggle to get the parts made to put back on the cars.
I know it's going to be quite a thing. In fact, there's a headline here. The FIA has released details of the latest changes to Formula One sporting regulations ahead of the return in Austria. There's going to be half the number of people that are allowed on the grid. Only 40 personnel are allowed on the grid. And also the pit exit now closes 20 minutes before the start rather than 30. So the cars will come on maybe a little bit later than they have done in the past. And cars will have to have their tyres fitted 5 minutes before the start rather than 3. and that signal, team personnel and equipment trolleys must commence leaving the grid. So yeah, it's going to be. I mean, here's a good picture here of the crowd. You know, a podium. That's all going to disappear as they start in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be really kind of weird in that sense. I think they might stop at on the grid to celebrate, so that there's a bit more space, and then they can get their champagne and their trophies done on the actual track itself, rather than up on a podium. Unless the podium is massive and incredibly wide. So you've got, which would be, you could imagine that. They build a kind of podium about 20 meters wide so they can all stand on it without getting in the way, and see how that all works. You know, that might be the thing actually. Maybe we just need a wider one. Maybe we've answered that question for them. That might be the way to do it.
Or they could split it so that they've got like a big gap between the steps. By the way, I remember the name. It's Lee Mackenzie.
Ah, of course, Lee Mackenzie.
See, if I stop thinking about it, she was the main anchor with old DC Coulthard.
Yes.
I don't know if Louise Goodman was in the pit lane though.
No, I think that was going to be a long time ago when they were doing it. I was thinking she does touring cars. And she does touring cars, and she's very
brilliant in touring cars.
Yeah,
I mean, she's brilliant. Again, it's fantastic to hear someone do an interview where they don't ask DV questions.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I asked you this last week, but I'm going to ask you this week. Shut up.
So yes. Now I think, as far as I know, it's because they've made Formula One later. You know, last year they changed the times, and instead of in Britain it started about 1 o'clock normally. Now it used European timing, and it made it a little bit later to make it easier for people to have lunch or whatever and do things. And now it's normally about 2:10 when it starts. So we'll need to double check on the timing, but I presume that it will be the same time in 2 weeks' time, where they'll be forming on the grid in Austria, and we'll start to see it live. Now, at the moment, only Sky Sports is actually showing the race live. Or if you get Now TV Sports Pass, then I think you can watch it on that.
Which is Sky, Now TV.
Yeah, which is another version of that. So it's going to be
so ridiculously expensive because I'm on Now TV, and
the podium will be 3 glass boxes, says Ant.
What's that Mission Impossible film where the bad guy gets locked in a box?
Was that number 4?
Number
4, number 5.
It's the one where they're in London. And apparently the whole of London has people shooting everything everywhere constantly, and you can drive around it. They must have used the same London they use in that Fast and Furious film, where you can drive around London and there's never any traffic. You can do 150 mile an hour around London and no. And the same London that was in that Now You See Me Magic film, which also you can drive around, and the FBI can, the CIA can appear in London and demand to do whatever they like, because apparently we're American now. And they'll just let them have guns, and they can order the British police around, because that's exactly what would happen, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. So we were thinking,
carry on.
They were looking at lots of different races to help fill up the calendar. And one of the things they were thinking about last year was, should they actually have a race in London? And so, but I just think it's maybe just too difficult to do potentially. And I still think Silverstone's an amazing race. But it's going to be amazing seeing 2 races at Silverstone this year, back to back. I'm not sure if it would work in London. I mean, I know there are some wonderful bits at Marble Arch. And
it absolutely would not work in London.
I think it would be too much. It would be too much, I think, over the time.
Crowd there. It's not Monaco. It's not on the side of a hill. It's not had the past 70 years or more with races going on there for them to get used to it. What they need to do is they need to get to Castle Donington. That'll be a nice second race.
Yeah, Donington would be great fun.
So you keep them both in the Midlands, but one's in the proper Midlands and one's somewhere down south. Silverstone's right, I suppose, Northamptonshire. It's not just down the road from my hometown. Not that I'm biased or anything.
Now, this comes to competition time.
Anglesey. They should put it on Anglesey. They should have 3 races. They should have 1 in Silverstone, 1 on Anglesey, and 1 at Knock Hill.
That would be the thing. Now, I'm going to let you promote the competition today.
Oh, promote the competition today. So we've got Vera Duckworth and Stan Ogden, also known as Ayrton Senna. and the greatest racing driver ever, Juan Manuel Fangio. He's the one with no hair. As a competition. So if we get 1,000 subscribers, I mean, it's right, for the YouTube channel. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 1,000. Then this is it. Yeah. So we're trying to get it out there.
So will it be the 1,000th subscriber? Is that how it works?
Well, once we get to 1,000, we're going to put them all in the hat, and then in turn we will choose a winner.
So
we'll choose a winner.
You got a 1 in 1,000. Well, let me put it this way. This is a good way of saying it. Yes, you will have a 1 in 1,000 chance of winning it. However, a lot of people do the lottery, and that's 1 in 14 million chance of
That's
winning.
a good advert. That's to be fair.
And
That's
people still do it. When it first came out, one of the funniest things I heard was people calling it the stupid tax.
It was another
Taxing people too dim to understand how probability works. So there you go.
We have a very special. All our viewers are very special, of course. But Will Daniels, who we interviewed a few weeks ago, is the one who works in Formula One. And Will had said that Donington would be a dreadful race, though.
Somewhere.
I mean,
somewhere.
That's right. We're not allowed to say where.
Absolutely not anywhere.
In Formula One. Now, he said that Donington would be a dreadful race. Now, of course,
he's really there, hasn't he? Hello, Will. How you doing?
Yeah. Now, they did race there back in 1993.
Why? What's wrong with you? They need the old track. You remember the one? There's footage of the old Mercedes and the Auto Unions taking off past the old Vectorettes and the ERAs. 500 horsepower German monsters going past these little hello with their flat caps. Johnny Wood.
You can see I just can't represent the views. Yes,
you can say Brando. Good. Just wanted to check.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, Donington's obviously been redone because at one point, remember, they changed it all and it was going to be a completely different type of track. They would be able to follow with the modern cars. Yeah, it's an interesting one because I mean, when I was there watching that race in '93, it was a V12s. You know, it was all the McLarens, the Ferraris, the whole thing. V12s. And it was the weather was incredible because it changed literally every 10 minutes. And was it Senna used something like 4 pit stops? He used all his tires, and he had to come back in and go out on an old set of tires to keep him going. So it was kind of amazing when you think about it. But yeah, I know it. I mean, it is quite small. It's not a very wide track. There's a lot of drag.
Tire. Or was it?
I think it may have been. No, it may well have been Goodyear's actually. I always used to remember the Goodyear Eagles. I always wanted a pair of Goodyear Eagles on my Ford Fiesta. I don't think it would have made it any faster, but it would have maybe given me a bit more grip.
Best 2 sets of tyres I've ever had on obviously a road car, I've never owned a racing car, were Pirelli P6000s. I loved those. I had them on my first Saab 9000, and I just couldn't believe the grip. Wet or dry, they were just amazing. But years later, I used to get Avon ZV3s.
Right, yeah, Avon tyres, they were big in motor racing, weren't they? They were big in...
they are British.
Yeah.
Pirelli's Italian, and I like it.
I was going to say to Will and also our viewers as well that are watching just now, have you ever had a shot on your how can I put this, your team's simulator? That would be the thing, because I have.
Oh, that kind of shot. All right.
I have had a shot on a particular motorsport team's Formula One motorsport team simulator, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Have you got a hat that represents that team?
Oh,
you don't put it on now. I'm just wondering. I'm just trying to get clues on it.
Yes, we can maybe give that away in a prize.
Now we can no longer pretend we're trying to hide that Will works for Renault. I'm just thinking of somebody else we can be mysterious about.
That yes, no, I've got a few bits and pieces we could do with that. But yes, I had a shot on a Formula One team simulator. The Renault, it was the F1 simulator, and it was amazing fun actually. It was great. The thing is, that's the most secret bit we have. Well, of course, because you'll get the proper simulator in terms of the whole thing. I just had it was an F1 place.
Did you do well? Did you do that thing?
I was terrible on it. And the thing was, because you know what, they turned off the traction control. You see, all the toys, all the things that make me quick, and they turned off. And then my wife was there with me, who was not impressed because she wanted to go and eat all the food. at the buffet, and this was the one time it was quiet, you see, and she said, come on, we go there. And she kept telling me how terrible I was racing around the track, and it was the Austrian Grand Prix.
One person to tell you, you can't just. I think there's a new track. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And you know what? Charter Hall. It's our Monza, sitting the 6 miles away from me, just at Greenlaw, where Clark drove, Fangio, Brabham, and all the places are. It's all there. It's just rotting away to nothing. So
years ago, there was in I can't remember where it was. I think it was in Auto Car or something like that. Some magazine. No, was it Auto Car? No, it was Auto Express. I used to get Auto Express, and I got really bored of reading the same thing every week, so I got rid of it. But they were reporting that the people that owned the Anglesey circuit, Croes, welcome house, as that means in the Welsh. They were going to invest in it, and then we're going to make a second circuit on the other side that was going to be
the next
F1 standards, you know, this kind of stuff. So we could get F1 up there and all this kind of thing. Never happened.
So look, I have been. My name has been linked with a Formula One sim. Look at that. Rumor has it that Hugh had a part in developing the new RS20 in the sim. Is that because it's not very good, or is that because it's? I don't know. Is that it may not be a compliment, but it's oh, I will take it on board. Maybe that means I could come back and have another go and make sure I can complete the development of the car. You see, and then I'm all up for that,
dude.
If you invite me back,
would you see? You've got two possibilities here to reduce the amount of in your ear. One of them is to allow your darling wife to go to the food without you.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
I'm pretty sure you don't need to be there while she's eating the food, or leave her at home. One of those two would have you dead the next day. I'll let you guess which one it is.
I have to say, though, the food was amazing at our guest day at the Renault factory team. That was amazing.
Well, it better be.
It was phenomenal.
It's French. Come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
one thing the French are more mad about than racing.
Yeah, but you go in, it's like being 007, because you go down into this underground bit, and then the music's going, and you see the sound.
It's stupid.
No, it's amazing, because it used to be Lotus, you see, and then you go down this kind of tunnel, and it opens up, and then there's a kind of atrium type thing, and then they have the Renault car in front of you, but you couldn't sit in it. I don't think you were allowed to sit in it, but it looked amazing. I took some pictures right next to it.
Fit.
I would. Oh, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
I would get in. But I would.
It's not that I'm talking about. It's the
other. Oh yeah, I would get in. I just wouldn't get out. They need to call the
image. A couple of people like jumping up and down on you to get you in.
Yeah. Oh, I could get in. I just wouldn't get out. They would have to.
You know, remember the little Matchbox ones where you got the little plastic man sat in there? You'd be like that. You're like, it doesn't come out.
Well, the thing is, believe it or not, in 1990, when I went to my race day in 1993 at Donington Park, when it was the Jim Russell School of Racing, they thought I was thin enough to get in a Vauxhall Lotus, and they were right. When I was and I was able to get into it, but my boots were too tall, and I struggled. I kept hitting the steering column on the pedals at the back, so I struggled to drive the thing. But no, I would get in, I just wouldn't get out. That's the thing. It's but no, it was great fun though. I have to say the whole
thing. Trying to get in out with the halo now.
Yeah, they'd have to get a crane. I'm only 14 stone.
It's not weight. You're not held in by gravity. It's the sort of.
I am. You know.
They do say Formula One cars at 150 can drive upside down.
Yeah, well, they could tip it upside down, and then I'd get out. I would just
I trained a lass. Oh my goodness, many years ago, well over 30 years ago, trying to teach her how to roll a kayak. I've got to be careful. I used to say canoe, but now I get told off to say canoe. To be specific to people out there that don't know, a canoe is something you kneel in, and a kayak is something you sit on your bum. So she was trying to learn how to roll, and she was an experienced. I mean, not experienced, but she wasn't a beginner. The problem is she was tiny. I think like that wide. So every time she went upside down, it didn't matter what happened. She'd sort of do that and go, that's come upside down. So she's like half an hour, and she's like nearly drowned because every time she goes upside down, just
going over and over. Goodness me.
She'd have to get back in again. We'd have to look in there. This is all in a pool, nice and warm. But it was, that was hilarious. Well,
here's the thing for Will. Do they still do the Formula One days when you can actually go and drive a Formula One car? Because they used to have a thing where they were giving, like, a lot of the time, the big YouTubers, they were having a chance to, you know, like Seen Through Glass and Jimmy Broadbent and people like that.
I just go after the conversation we just had. You said big YouTubers. You still haven't got an extra wide car.
Well,
and he's on YouTube. Get him in there.
I meant as in viewership and popularity. You know?
After what we've just been talking about, big YouTubers, it was like, oh, all the fat YouTubers, get them in. See if they fit in that car.
And then that's the one. Well, Anna's just come up with an idea of saying they should fit an ejector seat just for me. So when I need to get out, it'll actually just push me out, you see. That might just work.
You're going to...
That might just work. It might just work.
You're like an explosive.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking for a joke of starting a channel on YouTube just for gaming, just for streaming. And I was going to call it Fat Man in the Cheap Sim. And, you see, for a bit of a laugh. So we'll wait and see.
Sim Fat. The new old man simulator.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. But so we will have to see. We'll have to wait and see what we can do.
If I ever did any racing driving, it could never be single seater because not only am I 6'2", because you got Alex Albon, I think, has been making comments about this because he's 6'2".
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But obviously much thinner.
And Ocon's quite tall as well, isn't he? Ocon's quite tall.
I don't know actually. But he's been having the same problem. A problem I noticed with Mark Webber back in the day, because he's 6'2" as well, is that when they're really lowering the weight and having to get the drivers as thin as possible, and his cheeks were sunken in and this kind of stuff. And it was as hard for them, if not worse, than it is for the Hollywood female superstar, you know, because they've all got sticks or they don't get a job. And they can't get in the car because they want the weight to go where they want it to go, not this guy person with arms, you know. And Albon's been saying that it's been a real challenge with his height to be strong enough to drive the car, because when you train, obviously it depends on the kind of training you do, but any kind of training you'll put up some muscle mass. Yeah. To keep the muscle mass down so it can fit in the car and not be, you know, a pain. And they've raised the new cars that are coming out. They've actually got a more weight.
That's true, isn't it?
Partly because of that, I think. So,
Ant has discovered my plan. You see, I was trying to see, could we get a free ride in a Formula One car? Because some of the other guys have done it. You see, and they go to Paul Ricard and they shorten the track and they go out there. It looks amazing, actually. But I know with Renault, you could drive some of their old cars.
When they shorten the track, do they do it by moving the trolleys?
No. But no, that would be quite a thing. But no, it was more the fact that they were doing it for a couple of years ago. Quite a lot of the YouTubers who are obviously much bigger than we are, by times that by about 10,000, 10 million even, and they got to drive the Formula One car. It was the old V8 model as well, and it was all ready for them to go. And it looked incredible. Actually,
it wasn't a V12. I know you would. How do you like the sound of the engine? You know, if you'd never heard the V6s, you'd be bitching about the V8s and not as good as the V10s and the V12s.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I saw there was a video of Charles Leclerc driving the new Ferrari around. Was it Mugello? I think. No, it was the town. It was where the Ferrari is made. Modena. And it looked. The sound is actually a lot better. To be fair, it's a lot better than it was.
If you think about it, the technology has moved on so much. One of our favourite cars is the Alfa Giulia, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's turbo V6.
Yeah, 510 horsepower.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like a monster. Now, you go back 20 years, you stick a turbo on a car, it sounds like an asthmatic Hoover.
Yeah, no, they were quite restricted, weren't they? So that was the thing.
Now, they don't so much. They've got valves and things in exhaust pipes. Invented. Oh, that takes me back to the Yamaha power valve.
Now, Will has said additional ballast goes has to go in the seat for light drivers. So that's so if you're a bit lighter, then you put that on. That obviously would not be an issue for me. It would be
additional ballast has to be taken off you with a knife.
Well, hey, I could get a much smaller rear wing, so I could have an amazing rear wing because it would just be, that's how they'd lose weight, and so I could have everything would be a Monza setup. So it wouldn't be great going around the corners, but have incredible top speed. That
I think you're not quite understanding the nature of force.
Do you think?
Centrifugal force is related to the amount of mass that's sat in the car, whereas the downforce doesn't add mass to the car. So it's free grip, whereas you wouldn't be. For every 1G you're pushing down, you're also pushing 1G sideways.
Right. Oh, well. I never did well at sides, to be fair.
In racing. It's not just because they have a hot dog in one hand while they're driving.
So they need to be thin and fit and ready.
An interesting game, actually. Imagine that. I mean, they keep talking about reverse grids and all this kind of stuff like that. Why not have it where you've got, it's a bit like, what was back in the day? 1970s. All the countries used to get together and have these stupid games dressed up as idiots.
Oh, that was the royal thing, wasn't it? It was like
the royal thing was one of them, but this was
was it not the Gymkhana? What was the thing? It was like the kind of the I know what you mean, but
and what's it called?
Will has said
that. You're in a racing car, but you've got to eat a burger, and you've got to finish the burger.
Well, before you do a lap or something.
And the amount of burger left, they add time on, and that's
how
part of your pole. Actually qualifying that.
Now,
brilliant.
Will has said the 1.6 litre hybrid turbo, similar on my Swift. Good cars. And yet 900 horsepower down. I had a Swift rental car when I visited Brooklands, the Mercedes headquarters. Only used a $5 worth of fuel to get from Gatwick to Brooklands and back, which is not too bad. But
GTI, Swift GTI's great little chassis as well.
Yeah, a lot more expensive than it used to be. Now about 17.
Well, that's because people cottoned on, haven't they?
Yeah, and also a bit of inflation. But
I like the fact that the new Koenigsegg and one of my favourite old cars back from the 80s and early 90s, the Daihatsu Charade GT-TI. But you see, they're the same.
Small engines, 3-cylinder or something.
3-cylinder. 4 valves per cylinder, turbocharged.
Yeah.
One's a 1 litre, one's a 2 litre. One has 100 horsepower, one has 600 horsepower.
Will, as he has got the Formula One insight, might be able to let us know as to where he thinks the engines are going. Is it going to get even smaller for 3 cylinders? Because there was Ross Brawn was talking about that a little bit, and also Pat Simmons was talking about that too. Or will it get? Will it go back to, or will it stay the same? Or I mean, we hope and pray and wish it could be V8s again, but I think that's gone.
I like the sound of them. If they've freed up the sound,
if they can have higher rev limits, I think they would sound incredible. But they're only revved to about 12,000 or 12,500.
Yeah, but I say this is where we disagree, because I never liked the scream engines. I told you about the times at Hockenheim. The Formula 3000 engines, the V8s they had this. I mean, they were high by normal engine standards. I think it was at 12,000, 14,000 RPM, but they weren't the 19,000 RPM that the V10s were doing.
See, I love the 19,000 RPM.
They just hurt. They just hurt. What you could hear was, it was like being in an explosion. At no point do you notice this amazing fireball. You're too busy moving. Whereas the F3000 engines, as I was walking past the tracks, there's one bit where you're walking back from the Ost curve up to the main grandstands. You're 30 feet away from the cars as they go past on the other side of the big thing that's called a fence. Fence. I'm getting good. And they were going past, and I was like in a wormhole in space and time, because you were being shocked, and the sound, everything. It just you blanked out from reality for a minute, because it was, I don't know, it was better than sex, I think. I can't remember, but something like that. It was amazing. Whereas the F1 engines, when they went past, even when you sat in the seats, just hurt. You had to have
I suppose the V10s were very strong, and the V8s were. See, I loved it when it was they had the F duct or the F valve. You know, when they used to back off the throttle, and it would give them more power on the back end. So they could, the
exhaust valve, the blown exhaust.
Yeah, the blown exhaust, the blown diffuser thing.
Did you?
Sorry?
You liked that sound?
Oh, I loved that sound. I've watched a video. It was Bose 92's channel, I think it was, on YouTube. And he was at Monza, and he was behind the first and second Lesmo corners. And they had the two, I think there were Renaults and all sorts of stuff going past. But when they backed off for those, incredibly quick corners, it was a kind of, it was an incredible sound as they came down.
The sound I remember. The sound I remember when they had the blown exhaust was that they would keep the engines kind of running, so exhaust still came out while slowing down. So they sounded like a bag of bolts going around in a tumble dryer.
Well, there would be a bit of crack. This is such a different. I'll try and get the link for the video for you so you can see.
I don't like these double clutch engines. I hear them on the A55 as they go past all the time, and it just sounds like a synthesizer. It's not a proper engine. Proper engine
because the space, mind you, that
stops and starts again. Just better.
But I'm sure Will will know a lot more than what we do, but because he does all the engineering side. But when the quickness, the gear changes on these F1 cars are incredible. It is just like this one, you can't count it.
But also, it's almost irrelevant, because they're blending one clutch in as they're blending one clutch out. You're getting full drive all the time. There's no gap. The older ones, they used to go bang, 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 like the old Ferrari F1 gearbox they put in the rubbish Ferraris. Bang, 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 right? So that's where you're swapping cogs and you've got a clutch and it's going quick. Now there's no brake in the thrust. You can keep full throttle, and the computer sorts out these two clutches. One going off, one going on, and it's just like that.
Now here's an interesting that Will has said. The Formula One cannot be fully electric due to his knowledge, because Formula E has now the rights to full electric engine, which is a big sigh of relief, because I think it means hopefully we'll have petrol or some form of chemical engine for some time to come.
I did read today where the chief executive, somebody high up in ABB Formula E, was saying that when electric Formula E cars are as fast as F1 cars, there's no need to have two series anymore. They can just have them both on the same track. A bit like, I suppose, they did with the Le Mans sports cars when they had diesels and electric and petrols, and they were all competing against each other with slightly different rules. Perhaps they're talking.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Formula One is, I think the cars look spectacular. I think the new regulations for now, it's going to be 2022, look incredible. I think it's a real kind of very futuristic design for them all. And I think it's a nice evolution of how they've designed it. But yeah, I don't know if it would that be the same thing to have that alongside Formula E? I don't know.
If I could control the world and be really selfish about it and not care about anything, I'd go back to the days where there were no catalytic converters, because they sound horrible and stink. I just like proper engines.
I know it's a thing, but it is incredible when you think how much better on fuel the Formula One cars are now as well. The efficiency is
60%. That is huge. Okay.
Yeah. From the V8 to the V6, which is colossal.
Yeah. I mean, because this is what Ross Brawn was saying when people were talking about how rubbish F1 was and all this kind of stuff, environmentally unfriendly, because 20 cars, which are the most efficient engines on the planet, there's only the only engines that come close to their efficiency are the engines in capital ships, the huge two-stroke diesels. I know because I used to work with them. And they use scale as well as the design to be as efficient as they are. To get something that small and light, powerful, 60% thermal efficiency, it's just incredible.
But when you see that, when they take the backs of the Formula 1 cars off now, you know, the engine is so much smaller as well. And when the old days with like Ferrari V12s in the 90s, they were quite big when they looked amazing, you know, like an Alfa Romeo engine. They were wonderful exhausts, and you know that everything looked like a piece of art. But they were quite big. They were, you know, considerably bigger than what they are today, because obviously it was a 3.5 litre V12, you know, producing 700 or 800 horsepower or more. But no, it's quite a thing. Well, it's really interesting. I can't wait. It'll be an elastic band power. Says,
remember that the old airplanes used to get with.
That was the thing. It's going to be good now. We should wish Will all the best for the season ahead of him, because it's going to be starting in 2 weeks' time. And thank him very much, as well as all our viewers, for listening and watching tonight, and for giving us plenty of great comments, which is brilliant. We really appreciate that. If you can subscribe to the show, that would be brilliant. Tell your friends about it. It's a great laugh. Tell us if we're good. Tell us if we're terrible. We don't mind. We're very thick-skinned here. And remember to hit the notifications button as well, so that you make sure you never miss a video from us. We'll do one midweek, and we always do our live streams at 9 o'clock on a Thursday, and then round about 6 o'clock on a Sunday as well. But on that note, I'm going to say to you, Andrew, you can finish with our famous phrase.
Do it again. So what you have to do, whether it's electric, petrol or diesel, is drive fast, but try not to crash. Apparently.
There we go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Somebody should say that to Grosjean, do you think?
I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Bye just now.